Hey guys, Hillary Smith here, and today I am so excited to share with you something that I have been researching and reading about, and it's crazy. And for those of you who know our journey with Isaiah and our family, gut health and our kiddos is hugely important. Our little guy, like within a couple weeks of changing some things, totally went from a different kid. So gut health is huge and important. 97% of babies in North America are lacking a very important key thing. Crazy, right? 97%. Our babies and our kiddos, they have this amazing ability to kind of tell us as moms what's going on, but sometimes we just have to watch and listen and just see what they're telling us, because they can't always say, right? They don't always speak, and you're like, what's wrong? It's like the worst thing as a mom when your kiddo's not feeling well and, they can't tell you what's wrong. So tell me if my video is right, because I have some things that are coming on sideways. So let me know if you're watching, if my video is the right direction. I might have to restart if it's all wonky. Anyways, and we have this like motherly instinct, right? This mom gut that tells us when something is off with our kiddos and things are just not right. We just don't always know what it is, right? So something is missing with our babies, and it's a huge deal. And it's crazy to me that we don't hear a lot about it, because to me it's so vital and it's so important and so healing if you can correct it. So for those of you who have followed our journey with Isaiah and some of his challenges and issues, you know I am a huge believer in gut health for our babies, for our kids, as pregnant mamas, as we pass on things to our babies, as adults, and as we age, we lose key things in our gut. So I'm a huge believer in gut health. Just because we saw such dramatic results with our little 2-year-old at the time. So we're not always perfect, right? We try to make better choices as moms and empower ourselves with knowledge as much as possible. So I've been doing some reading about gut health and how it's all connected. And guys, it's crazy. It's crazy all the things that are connected. Our mental health, our moods, our energy, our skin, our immune system. Like, our gut is like the hub of our body almost. It is a very important part of our body. So at convention, I got to go to this class, and it was probably one of my most favorite classes. I know, talking all about gut health and poop, right? But it was hosted by Dr. Ollie. He's this incredible doctor, and he shared all about gut health and Life 9 and how we are literally making choices every single day to kill off some of the most vital parts of our body and how it functions. Even just with the things that come in contact with our skin, how we wash our hands, how we wash our clothes, it's crazy how we are killing off this really vital part of our body. So it's crazy to me that I'm just now hearing about this really key thing when I've done so much reading on gut health. So I just pay attention and stick with me. This is gonna be awesome. So this was a serious game changer. And it doesn't matter, you guys. If you are super organic, you're gluten-free, you're a vegetarian, you're a vegan, you're keto, you're Weston Price, paleo, crunchy, hippy dippy, or you're living off the grid, or just all American and more chewy than crunchy. I had a friend call it chewy, and I loved that. This affects you and your kiddos, and this affects everybody. Guys, 97% of babies do not have this vital element. That's crazy. So that means 97%, that's 9 out of every 10 babies born all over don't have this. And this isn't anything new either. This is actually something that's been happening for a while over time, over the last, 75 years. So it's actually quite possible that you and I don't have it either. So we as moms, and while we're pregnant, we're not passing it on to our babies, because our babies get so much from us while they are in utero, which is amazing. So it's really important, moms, while you're pregnant, to be taking some probiotics and really taking care of your gut health, because you're passing on your gut health to your baby, and it's really important. So, so this is important for everyone, no matter your background, your nutrition, whatever. It's important for everyone. So the article I looked up says the key strain of bacteria that is predominant, that is like one of the ones that we need to have in babies' guts and in developing nations, and used to be a more predominant bacteria in every baby's gut, is called B. Infantis. Now the B part has this super long part that I can't pronounce because I'm not sciencey, guys. I just love information, but I love to read it. I can't always pronounce those big scientific words. Hi, Lynanne. Hi, Jessica. So B. Infantis. Google it. It's also, the shortened version is BI-26. So don't just take my word for it, you know, be your own best resource. Google it. I also posted an article recently on my timeline that kind of talks about it. So you can go check that info out too. But it's basically disappearing from our baby's guts. And we as adults might be lacking this too. It's kind of one of those things that you can't really test for, right? But you'll see the effects in our bodies. So it's funny that in, you know, this modern age, we get all crazy about when animals go extinct or certain species go extinct or they become endangered, right? But this is a huge deal. This bacteria is in danger of disappearing because 97% of babies already don't have it. So this is about humans and about our kiddos, right? So that's kind of shocking that there's this key bacteria that could be going extinct in our bodies and it plays such a huge role. So what causes this, right? So there is a rise in C-section births. And I know it's kind of crazy, maybe a little gross, but as our babies are born and when we give birth, you know, the natural way, our babies pick up all these vital bacteria from our bodies as they are being delivered. So they're kind of being inoculated as they're brought into the world. So when we have a C-section, we're skipping that vital step. And I know for some people it's absolutely necessary, unavoidable. And so for those mamas who have gone through that, like, I totally sympathize. And, you know, I know that we all would rather have like natural births, but sometimes in modern age, it doesn't happen. So that is one of the causes, because there is a rise in C-sections. The overuse of antibiotics, which I think we all know, and antibacterial products, they're finding that it's literally killing off bacteria that we can't always just naturally replace into our bodies. So if kiddos have had a lot of antibiotics, or you use a ton of antibacterial products, you might want to evaluate that and really look at maybe some other natural options. And I know for myself, I've taken antibiotics. I've had kiddos who've been on antibiotics, so I'm there with you. In fact, my last birth, I ended up taking some strong antibiotics while I was like in labor and delivery. So I probably passed those on to Sawyer. So, you know, I know that we all use them. And then the use of formula instead of breast milk. And that just has to do with our modern age and that women are going back to work and not always home with their babies. And pumping is incredibly difficult when your baby's not there with you. So I totally sympathize with that. We actually had to switch Sawyer over to formula. He was my first formula fed baby because when I got pregnant, I just couldn't keep up both. So I totally sympathize with the formula fed babies, but they can't replicate what is in our breast milk, no matter how hard they try and how, you know, scientific they are. You can't replicate so many of those little things that were perfectly designed. So that's kind of what is causing it. So over the past 75 years, as our country is becoming more modern and women are going back to work and just certain things, is causing this key bacteria to kind of disappear. So what happens in our bodies when a predominant bacteria dies out? Well, when you start to lose the good bacteria, the bad bacteria kind of, well, they take over. So when those good bacteria aren't taking up space and kind of keeping everything under control, you know, this is when we are going to see that our bodies can't naturally fight off illnesses and disease as efficiently. And our bodies are this incredible design, you guys. Like, they are designed to care for themselves. They are designed to heal themselves. When we give our bodies what it needs, they do what they do best, or it does what it does best. So this bacteria is like perfectly designed to keep us healthy. So when we have poor gut health, it can affect chronic inflammation and more serious health issues as our babies grow into kiddos and teens and eventually adults. So sometimes you won't necessarily see the effects right away. It's an accumulative thing, right? The little choices that we make every single day, they either fight disease or we are choosing to contribute to it. And so, you know, as adults, we start to see things in our bodies that start to pop up. Some of them can include, for our kids as they're getting older, asthma, allergies, eczema, I can never pronounce that word, acne, and other skin issues, diabetes, developmental delays, and behavior challenges. And so for us, in our family, we saw some things with our little kiddo that had to do with developmental and behavior and food allergies and food sensitivities, all sorts of things. And it was amazing to see how just addressing that one area, the huge difference that it made. They're even seeing a link in cancers and our gut health, which is crazy, and just all sorts of inflammation-related diseases later on in life. So our gut health is probably one of the most important things for our overall health, right? It can even cause like struggles with weight, metabolism, all sorts of things. And I'm looking at my notes. So this was huge in our family. So I don't know if you guys, for those of you who followed our journey, but we went from a kiddo who was like needing some serious intervention. We didn't know what was going on. We were seeing him regress and we were losing connection with him. He was having huge tantrums and meltdowns and all sorts of things, sensory issues. It was crazy. Like, we were seeing our kid just become a totally different child. So for us, just doing some simple changes of probiotics, prebiotics, enzymes, and changing up his diet a little bit, he literally changed in like a couple weeks, and we started to see improvements. And now he's a totally different kid. In fact, by the time we finally got into the intervention services, I think they looked at us like we were crazy, and they didn't really believe that we needed help as much as we really felt we did. Like, we were desperate parents. They're like, but he's not, you know, showing any of those. I'm like, I know, but like 3 weeks ago, I swear he was totally having troubles with this. Anyways, rabbit trailing. So how did they discover this? And what is the difference between breast milk and formula? Why is that sort of an issue with this whole thing? Well, it's kind of crazy. Like, when you really start to look into breast milk, it's pretty amazing stuff. Like, you can't make this up. You can't synthesize it. You can't create it in a lab. They really try to more and more. They're trying to add some of these things in, but you just can't replicate it. It's why we really need to be so supportive of our nursing mothers and just help them as much as possible, and just, you know, really support that and make, you know, breastfeeding this normal thing, and not, you know, encourage formula as much as we possibly can. And sometimes it's totally an option, or, you know, something that you have to do, but breast milk's pretty cool. So it contains an abundance of oligosaccharides. It's this set of carbohydrates, okay? Another big word that I can add to the title of the video if you want to look it up. So I'm so not sciencey, but again, I love all this info. So it's this set of carbohydrates, but it's crazy because the babies themselves are not capable of breaking down and digesting this carbohydrate, right? So why is it in our breast milk? Why is it there? It's made me super curious. So the carbs are actually not feeding your baby. It's feeding the bacteria. So it's in our breast milk to naturally support our baby's gut health and feed that bacteria like a natural prebiotic. So how cool is that, right? Isn't the human body just like so perfectly designed, and just we as moms, what we can offer to our babies, it's just so perfectly designed. So no matter how healthy you are, you as a mom or as an adult, especially since 97% of babies are lacking this bacteria in their systems, we most likely aren't passing it on to them. So they're not getting it from us, which means that we probably don't have it either. So this is all babies, not just the C-section babies, not just babies who had antibiotics, or not just formula-fed babies. This is like all babies, and it's not just in the West. So this is across the board. So how do we get them back? Well, once it's gone, the only way is to deliberately reintroduce them. So you're not going to pick it up from the food you eat, no matter how healthy. It's something that you need to deliberately make a conscious effort to replace. So raise your hand if you're like, sign me up. How do I get this back into my body, back into my kiddos' bodies, back into my baby's bodies? How do I get me some good bacteria for my baby? Into my body, into my baby's body. How do we fix this problem? So raise your hand if you would like to fix this problem. How do we get this back? If they didn't get it, they still don't have it, guys. It's not going to just magically appear. So the crazy thing is when we reintroduce it, it will crowd out the bad and help prevent a lot of things that I mentioned earlier. So it fills up your lower intestines and makes a happy little colony. But we also have to feed the bacteria. So you can't just introduce good probiotics. They kind of go hand in hand with prebiotics. So prebiotics are what are going to help feed that bacteria. And you want it to grow, guys. This is like adding, really good fertilizer to your garden, all sorts of good things. So this is where prebiotics are really, really important. So we really want to support and encourage mothers as much as possible to be breastfeeding, because we know that that's how they get a lot of those good prebiotics. And these good carbohydrates create this really great relationship between the bacteria and the breast milk. So again, companies try to replicate this, but this is not something that you're going to get from formula. And you can always introduce prebiotics with probiotics in other ways. So make sure that you look for both. You can eat raw carrots. Raw carrots have a lot of really good natural prebiotics and all that good stuff. So as a mom, this really concerns me as a mom with a kiddo where we saw the effects of having gut issues. So, make sure that you're sharing this and helping others to learn how they can replace this and help their bodies as well, because it's so important. I feel like I wish I had known about this like a year ago or more, because I totally would have started earlier. So one of the things that you need to be looking for on your probiotics and your prebiotics is B. Infantis. And it's actually I'm going to try and pronounce it, is Bifidobacterium infantis, BI-26. And I'm so excited that it just so happens that Young Living just came out with a new probiotic for kids. And as a mama with a kiddo with gut issues, I was already using probiotics and trying to get as many prebiotics in him as I possibly could. But sometimes he didn't always want to eat the chewable. We would find it hidden in the couch, or he would pretend that he had eaten it and then I'd find it in his chair, all sorts of things. So he didn't really like it. And it didn't have this key B. Infantis that 97% of babies and kiddos are lacking. So I love that Young Living has come out with a probiotic that is specifically designed to address this lack of this bacteria. And look at this, you guys. How crazy easy is that? Look at that. It's a little packet. You don't even need to refrigerate it because of the way it's packaged. And Isaiah, I have to keep these out of his reach because they're like a little healthy pixie stick. Like, he begs for these. He asks for this every single day in his Ninja, he's like, Mama, I need my vitamin. So, and we notice when we're not giving him a daily probiotic and prebiotic, we see huge changes in his behavior, just his overall health, how he reacts, his emotions, all sorts of things. So this has been so vital in our house. I am a huge believer in probiotics and prebiotics. So no need to refrigerate it. You just can pop them in your purse. You can have them, you know, on the go. It's so easy. We've been adding it to water, to his Ninja, to applesauce. We even give a little half of a packet to Sawyer because he struggles with some other digestive issues where things don't want to work as well as they should. And Isaiah kind of struggles more on the other end. So we have two kiddos who are real sensitive and who need that extra support in their body. And for myself, I take a daily Life 9, and it has been huge for skin, for mood, for energy, for my digestion, for bloating, all sorts of good stuff. So probiotics are just across the board a great thing to be adding in. So you guys, if you have any questions, post them below. I'll go back through and look. I really love that I get to share this information with you all because I had no idea. And I've done a ton of research on like gut health and probiotics and prebiotics, and I didn't even know. So this is really vital. I feel like if you have a kiddo who is struggling with their skin, they're struggling with digestion, they're struggling with food, behavior, like so many things, like what does it hurt, right? That's kind of what our approach was with Isaiah. Like, what does it hurt to try this? And, you know, we don't have a huge testing and all these scientific labs to like track our results. But all we know is that within a matter of 2 to 3 weeks and a month, we saw a kiddo go from desperately needing intervention to becoming a totally different child. And now it's like we can't get him to stop talking. His behavior has improved, just so many things. So what does it hurt to try it, right? So Google gut health, look it up. For adults too, it's crazy all the things it's connected to, even mental health, it's connected. So be empowered, do your own research, and thanks so much, you guys. Bye.